Are you having a difficult time managing your UX projects? Good, because in this video, I'm going to show you how I manage my UX projects and always stay on top. Hello and welcome back to another video. It's been a long time coming, but this was really required. One of the most common things that I get asked by other UX designers is, how do you manage your UX projects? And it's been always a difficult one to answer. So the answer is, it depends. As a contractor, you have the ability and the flexibility to work on a system that you can build, or as an employee, you have to follow the system built by the company. But at the same time, you need to understand how the UX project is managed. The reason that I'm making this video is that I want to share what works for me. And I've built this system up over the last few years, tweaking it. And without further ado, let's start cracking. Okay, so this is how I manage my UX projects and stay on top. So before that, let's sort of have a look at the problems that we have, these common things. So as a UX designer, you're supposed to be on top of everything, the projects, the tasks, and everything has its own requirements and different stakeholders, and then the meetings happening, and then there's a knowledge base that needs to grow, and all this information is like all over the place. In the end, it's a mess. So what I did was I started making a list of all the challenges that I faced over the years, and I wanted to solve my own problem, and this is why I did it. So the first problem is the information overload. As we said, I was struggling to manage multiple projects simultaneously. Very difficult to organize things in a simple way. Then it was this task management chaos, what comes before, what comes after. How do I sort of put it together in a way that I'm on top of what needs to be done as P1, for example, right? And then there were these meetings, these stakeholder meetings. What were the key decisions? Who said what? When did what happen? And so it wasn't integrated. So things were living in different places. And then it was the knowledge management struggles that I had. So a lot of research that one tends to do for these projects, it's very easy to lose them in different folders. And then when the right time comes, you can never really find the information that you're looking for. And then workflow fragmentation, and this is based on working with different systems. So saving notes in the Apple Notes, and then having Confluence to create wikis, and then you have like Jira for the tickets and so forth. So time management issues, collaboration hurdles. If you want to work with other people, how do you do it? Where do you do it? What are the tools that you can use? Then there's progress tracking difficulties. How much of this pie have I already finished? If this is like 100%, how many more things do I need to do in order to finish this, right? And then there was this last but the most important problem, structure. There was a need to build a structure. So what was the solution of all this chaos? So the idea was all these different bits of information, if this can actually become integrated into what we call a system. And what is a system? It's a set of interconnected elements or components that work together in an organized way. And this is the most important. They work together. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to create a system out of this chaos. And this is what I call the system. The UX managed system. Of course, the name gives it away. It's a system that allows me to solve a lot of problems that I've faced over the years. And as you can see, the system has a very clean interface because I was required with all this chaos. I wanted something which was very clean. So the key features of UX managed, the system. So it's got an integrated dashboard. Everything sort of shows up in the central hub. So management of projects, tasks, areas, knowledge base, everything is very easy. Task management is reimagined. It's more than a simple to-do list. It's based on priority, it's based on effort, and so forth. So project integration, of course, a project is the central hub for this system where everything sort of goes in and integrates itself to a project. So all the different moving bits. And then, of course, there's a smart meeting tracker, which means all the meetings that you have for different projects, different things, they sort of come together in one place all the time. Even if the project is finished, you can go back and, you can find it. There's a global knowledge base that is required where all the research information that you've gathered, research that you've done, benchmarking, comparator analysis, XYZ, inspiration, it all lives in one place, and then it's associated with projects and where to find what for what. And then, of course, there's design asset organization. So one of the major problems that I've had over the years is to find the file that is required for a particular handover. In the Figma structure, it becomes crazy chaotic. So there's this one single source of truth that we build up for everyone, so we know exactly what was handed over and where it lives in the end. So enough of the UX managed features, but the reason why I'm making this video is because I want to teach you how to build this system yourself. And if you're interested in buying the template that I just showed you, you can go in the links, click on the link and do a quick download. However, don't do that right now. Keep watching because maybe you can build this yourself. So I'd like to show you what the system is about. It has three main pillars, three main components. We're going to talk about this organizational framework, how we organize information within the system. Then this implementation framework, where how do we implement things? So for example, moving things forward. And then the third part is a platform of choice to build this on. So the system is like an app that we want to build on something because it lives like an app. It works like a system, right? So let's talk about the first part, which is the organizational framework. So for this, I chose the PARA framework, and PARA framework is this very common and very famous framework from Thiago Forte, and he talks about creating a second brain, how to capture information and then transform that information into a system like a second brain, right? Makes complete sense to use a system established by someone who's an expert. Let's move forward. So in our case, PARA stands for P, projects, A, areas, R, resources, A, archives. So a project is technically an activity that has a goal, has an endpoint, definitely a deadline, and it's short term, right? So in our context, we can start to look at it as these short-term deliverables or design iterations or sprints and so forth. So this is in our UX managed context. This is how we are going to reinterpret these elements, components, right? The second area is area. It's based on roles and responsibilities. These are bigger things to look at. They're long-term and they're more or less never completed. So in our case, we can call them maybe products, main features, major UX, UI topics, UX research, design system, and so forth. These are like long trail topics, right? It's almost like a big tank where you can put in information. So a big area can have multiple projects. This is how the whole system works. And then this, the knowledge base, so these are useful references, catch all, any topics of interest. And in our context, this could be product research, this could be comparator analysis, this could be benchmarking, this could be heuristics analysis, whatever. Everything sort of lives in the knowledge base that is associated with a project, for example. And then archives, anything that you're not using, put it in the archive. Do not delete. There is no deletion. Please do not delete. So that's the first idea, where how you look at the organizational framework. I recommend you do a little bit of reading and research yourself to understand this a little better. Let's go to the second one, which is the implementation framework. For this, we are looking at Getting Things Done framework by David Allen. He's an OG, classic, simple system to understand. but this is how you get things done. So in this case, the idea is that once you want to get something done, you capture all the information that needs to get done. Then you clarify what it means, and then you organize that information. Then you reflect on it, and then you engage with it, right? So in our context of UX management, you've created a system which is based on the GTD framework, where you have an inbox where you can put tasks. Then you move into the clarification phase, where you can determine if these tasks are actionable or they're not actionable. Then you basically either delete them or you put them in the inbox, because it's like, okay, we'll deal with it later, right? So once you have clarified it and you say, okay, let's do it as the next action, which means there's a priority associated with it, it moves into the organizational part. So for example, if you have 3 different projects with 3 P1s, and now comes this idea like, how are you going to manage which one to go for first? So this is where the organizational comes in. You set in priorities, you set in deadlines and so forth, and then you engage with it, and then you reflect back on it every week to see what got done, what got moved to the inbox, what got deleted, what got stopped, and so forth. That's the implementation framework, GTD. So this is a very quick overview of it, but I recommend you go and have a look at the system, watch videos of how the system actually works. However, let's move to the next phase, which is the platform to build this on, which is going to be Notion. For us, Notion is this flexible digital workspace that combines all these databases, pages, wikis, XYZ. So it's this magical no-code platform builder that we can use for free, by the way. So if you've been living under a rock and you don't know what Notion is, please go and Google it. It's for free. Probably you already have an account there. It starts easy, but it can get really, really complicated. And this is where we come in, right? We demystify everything. So in this case, we're going to use this as the platform. People have used other platforms. So some people like to use Confluence and Jira and so forth. I don't find it very intuitive for designers. I don't find it very flexible because I can't build my own databases. I can't build my own systems on that. I have to follow their system. Primarily for that particular reason, Notion was selected. And all of this together forms the meat and bones of the UX managed system that we've been talking about. So organizational framework, implementational framework, and Notion as the platform of choice. I wanted to give you a peek of what the system looks like in the end. So we've got from the para principle this organizational areas, these are big areas that can have multiple projects associated. Projects are things that you do for mid to short term, right? And the idea is that every project has user stories, meetings, design assets, knowledge base, tasks, all associated with them. And every single one of these is its own database, so you can access things on its own, right? But everything then feeds into what we call the implementation system, which are tasks. Without tasks, you cannot make sense of a system because the system needs to have feedback loops. You need the system to keep moving on. So the objective of the system is to make sure that you keep working, right? And you do it like a well-oiled machine. You need to move the projects forward, and that is done through tasks. And as you can see, all these tasks are then combined together as one list of things that you can do. You can tackle that week, that day, XYZ, right? So that's the implementation system. And again, made in Notion. So this organized system where everything is sort of integrated can work in a very, very simple manner. All right, now let me show you what the system that I've built looks like. So this is what the template looks like on Notion, and the system, as you can see, is very clean. We're looking at the dashboard. There's a navigation on the left side to easily navigate to different parts of the template, quick access. And on the main page, which is what I call the dashboard, I wanted real clear categories of information, and of course available at a need to know basis, so I can collapse and expand information, so all the projects that I'm working on, and the gallery view, which looks different. And then I really like the board view as well. That sort of gives me an idea of what I did in September, October, what's upcoming in November. So I've created these bespoke views as well, just to sort of make more sense of the information, right? The same goes for tasks. What am I doing today? What I'm doing this week? And then I have the inbox, which is like a dump of all the things, and then completed what I did yesterday, last 7 days, last 30 days, and so forth. So a very clean sort of an interface. And of course, if I'm adding new team members to the space, I can add a new team member. I can send them an invite, give access to certain pages, projects, areas, and so forth. So a person can still become part of the team, but still not access some of the other parts of the platform, which is great. For that, you might need a paid version of Notion. I'm not really sure. You have to check that out, because I'm using a paid plan, so it's possible for me. But sometimes when you add more team members, the platform itself asks you for more money. Anyway, that's something that you can figure out. So then you have the meetings and the meeting tracker. As you can see, it sort of shows some of the meetings, the archived ones, and so forth. They're based on projects. Same goes for design assets. So what I wanted to show you was areas, which is the big empty box that we spoke of, and all the projects are part of it. So that's like the top level structure. You can create something like a UX UI design, or maybe you can call it Q1, Q2 projects, or you can say like a main roadmap item, doing now, doing later, sort of a thing. So it depends on how you're managing your process. However, if I go into, let's say, a project, I can start to see all this information attributes, that I can check if it's being blocked by something, if it's blocking something else. And this automatically then shows up in the calendar. You can then imagine all the things properly laid out for me to see which projects have to be done as P1 for another project to be unblocked, and so forth. This is what the page looks like. So you've got the team that's going to show up automatically over here. You'll have all the user stories that you're working on. So for example, you can call this project a sprint 21, for example. That comes with a set of user stories that you're working on. You set a deadline for 3 weeks, for example. Then you can start putting in your design assets, the files that you'll be working on. You'll be able to see it in the calendar, for example. Then start adding tasks, things to do, design reviews, sprint planning, iterations, maybe some sort of a user research, and so forth. And all the meetings that you have can be tracked directly from here. And if you want to add knowledge base to a project, you can start adding things to it. So this is UX Managed version 1.1. This is what I use for my projects. The best thing about this is that once you have it, you can customize it. And this is why Notion is so powerful. You can have the same framework that I'm using. The template for Notion, as you can see here, it's on Gumroad. If you want me to help you build this system in Notion from scratch, please let me know. I can create a series of videos for you. Get into the comments. Search for me on Google and message me on LinkedIn. I don't know. Just let me know. Just let me know so I can start that. Thank you so much. I hope you found this useful. Bye.